Good, hey, good afternoon. It is 4:45 on October 9th, and we have a quorum in chamber. I call this Human Resources Committee to order. Alder Herbst has been excused. We'll start with number one, approval of the September 11th, 2023 minutes. They're in your packet. Any questions? Otherwise, I will take a motion to accept. Motion? And second by Martins. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. The Human Resources Report for September 2023, it's in your packet. Any questions for our HR Director? Okay, we'll put that on file. Number three, discussion of possible action approving reclassification of the Transit Operations Supervisor position from grade 18 to grade 17.
Well, thank you. Once again, this is kind of a continuation from the conversation that we had with the PD. I know that some of you brought the question up, well, what do we do about the other? And I misspoke at the time saying that I didn't think transit was an issue, because when I went back and looked at it, some of the most, I think, going back to the last negotiation, they got a Part D, which was a substantial raise to their contract. And basically what it did is it put them, the supervisor that we just hired makes a little bit less than one of the highest paid bus drivers now. So we've got to take a look at this. And that's why I recommended going from 18 to 17, because I think with that, with the 3% increase that we're talking about, with other things, I think that's going to give them the distance that they need. But I think the other thing that I wanted you guys to consider also is that in this case too, we're going to have to start looking at this every time there's a contract ratified, making sure that there's enough distance between the supervisors and the union people, and really, when it comes to, in all of these cases, I want there to be as much transparency as possible. I want to form a committee to where whenever there's a contract ratified, we get together, not just me, not just the department head, but we get together and we look at this and make sure that there's enough distance between the union employees and the supervisors, because, it's kind of tough being a supervisor making a little bit less than someone that you supervise. So that's why I wanted to put this forward. Hopefully we can start taking a look at this on a timelier basis, so that we don't have to make as many or big moves, but just maybe incremental moves every year or two, instead of a bunch of big moves, once every 4 or 5 years.
Go ahead, Michael.
When we did the pay adjustment in the police for the lieutenants, instead of moving the lieutenants a grade, we did that 5% increase. Is there a reason why we're moving these transit supervisors up a grade instead of a percentage increase?
Yes, that reason is because in the PD, to a greater degree in some fire, there are more levels of management. When you move the lieutenants, now the captains, then the captain's the deputy chief to the chief. Whereas here with transit, I think this is going to fix this for a long time, because of you don't have those layers of management. The next layer would be the deputy director, and she's far enough away to where there's not going to be any compression between these supervisors and the deputy. So this is going to give us a good amount of time to be able to deal with that.
Okay, but wouldn't the grades, don't the grades in some cases also, indicate increased job duties and responsibilities?
Yes, and when I looked at that, I actually looked at those, and I wished I'd have brought that with me. But where they were classed, I think where they were classed originally, the transit supervisors were classed below an admin 4. So again, that just doesn't make any sense. You have an admin 4, and even though technically they do kind of supervise a couple of people, but there's no level, there's not even close to the level of responsibility that a transit operations supervisor has, when they're supervising bus drivers and others. So I thought it was appropriate to do that. I spoke with the transit director and the deputy director, and they were satisfied with it also. Because I'm trying to keep from just tearing our system down and having to build, I'm trying to do some patchwork. I mean, and we've still got fire probably coming here, because I haven't heard from fire, so I'm sure they're going to be calling here pretty quick.
So a grade 17 supervisor would be on par with a grade 17 in another department then, is what you're kind of indicating.
Well, they would, and even with the move, they're still below other supervisors. Even they're still below other, because that was that kind of the conundrum when we talked about that, is like if you move one set of supervisors, you have to move them all. Mm-hmm. But they're still below, because you have to realize too that they have the transit maintenance supervisor, because that's one that we're probably going to have to look at with the next contract, because with the maintenance people, they're probably going to, we're looking at probably a significant jump with that also. So.
Okay.
That's the reasoning for that. But they're still not, it's not like they're above other supervisors. They're still probably a little bit below where the other supervisors are, are on the matrix.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, thank you. I think the little hopscotching around, maybe the best thing is there a grand scheme of sort of directing this as sort of a policy type of thing, so that, this committee doesn't have to, that gives you direction, with our approval or whatever it would take, so that this distance can keep always in place, rather than having us look at it whenever there's an adjustment within the schedule itself. I think if we could sort of look at a larger policy that might address this, so that we can sort of see it as a whole rather than as little steps.
Right.
What we're doing now, of course, we have to do this, but I think looking forward to a larger grand scheme of a policy that would direct you and this committee as far as what to do when, so to speak.
Right, and that's why I mentioned earlier that from now on, we're going to start looking at this every time there's a contract ratified. And again, I think that's not just going to be me and the department director. We're going to have somewhat of a committee. We're going to have an outside person, however that looks, and that's going to be for probably all three of those union positions. We want to make sure that they keep enough distance, because again, the outlier is we never know what the increase is going to be, what the union employees are going to get. That's something that we, just like I think when we talked about the police, I think they got 5 to 6%. I was thinking they got 4, but it was higher than that. So very seldom will city employees get an increase that big. So what we're trying to put in place is even though this will fix this for now, but it puts a mechanism in place to be able to look at this every time a contract is ratified and see, is there going to be enough distance? And then if there's not, then we can make adjustments. And that's the policy part. That's what I want to get to, is we want to make sure that supervisors are at least 5% above the people that they supervise. And to do that, that's going to have to be, it's not going to be something static, we're not going to have the Traeger view of compensation, which is, we're not going to be able to just set it and forget it. We're going to have to look at this every time there are adjustments with the union to make sure that our supervisors are compensated correctly.
Then for the non-representative, that policy is pretty much in place anyways, so that's
Right.
already set. I
Right.
So we really never have to concern ourselves with that.
Right.
If there's an outlier once in a while, so be it, but.
Right. This issue only exists when you have non-union supervisors supervising you, because our raises are static. Our supervisors get 3%. The people they supervise get 3%. That's not the case with the union. Sometimes the union may get 4 or 5%, and we still get 3%. And if you can see that, if you leave that if you don't look at that all the time, then they're going to gain on you. And then I think the thing with transit, when they negotiated that last contract and they got that, I think it was D or E or whatever it was, but gave them a substantial raise, and it just made them that much closer to those operations supervisors.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept this reclass. Motion by,
Motion to
thank you,
accept.
and second by Martins. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Discussion and possible action regarding 2024 and 2025 health, dental, and supplemental insurance plan inclusion of CCIT.
Again, if you, this is probably right in concert with number 5 because we're looking at the benefits for the city also. I first of all would like to thank USI, our contract or our broker, and also they've been working hard with Ann Keenan, our benefits person. They've been working really hard to give us a 5% increase. Now, just to give you some background, we were expecting double digits. And I mean high double digits. At one point, I think at the meeting before the final, we were looking at 16 to 20% increase. And that everyone was shaken by that. And when they came in and said 5.1%, this is something that we thought was really great. I know that when I was in conference, I talked to some of my peers in other places, and they were all at 9 to 15% increases in their benefits. So USI and they really worked hard on this. I'd like to give my thanks to them. I think the city owes them thanks because they really worked hard to get us this 5.1% increase. And then I think it was no increase on the dental.
So move to approve the 2024 and 2025 health, dental, and supplemental insurance plan inclusion. You want me to turn the mic on? Thank you. Move to approve.
Thank you. We have a second? A second by Martins. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay, number 5, discussion and possible action approving 2024 benefit design for city and CCIT employees.
I think I did kind of touch on that. Ann did give me a figure of how it's going to affect the monthly cost. Let me look at that while I'm flipping through here. I know that the monthly cost, the increase for a family was like $14.50 a month. So that would be bi-weekly, that would be, or bi-monthly, or 26 pay periods, that would be $7 and something increase. And then I think the single was about $5 a month. So again, really thankful that we got what we got in this.
Any questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve. Move to approve by Gisselman, second by, Killian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 6, discussion and possible action amending salaries for elected officials. I will take this one for a minute. I had an alder or two come to me in August asking me to have this on the HR agenda. There is, I believe, state statute, I don't think it's an ordinance, but that that this has to be, any salary increases for electeds has to be passed by December 1st. And I think 2 years ago, some alders came to HR, but we wouldn't have been able to get it through finance or anything by December 1st. So we have it on this time. Thank you to James and Jennifer and the team that went and found the comparables on different municipalities, and they're in your packet. So that's why you're seeing that, is it was a request from two alders. Any discussion on this? Any thoughts?
I guess I'll start things off. I think the last time we looked at this was probably in 2019 in anticipation of the 2020 elections. So it's been a few years. It's good to see these numbers again. And I think, looking at the comparables for alders, we seem to be pretty much in line with other municipalities. I don't see a whole lot of difference there. I know in 2019 when we looked at the mayoral salaries, Wausau's was significantly lower than other communities. We still seem to be a little bit in line, albeit to the low side. I guess I don't really have a whole lot of inclination one way or the other of increasing our salaries or not increasing our salaries. Although if push comes to shove, I would say that if we would do anything, maybe we could apply, we're looking at a proposed 3% increase across the board for non-represented employees in the city. And if we feel the need is justified for an increase of our elected officials, I would be amenable to that 3% also applied to that. But I guess that's my thoughts on this at this point in time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I think my inclination would be to leave things as is and not increase them.
And my inclination is the same, so I will not support any increase at this point in time.
The information I received was that there has been no raise for alders in 15 years, but when you still look at the comparables, we are right in line with the municipalities of same population, I guess. That's kind of what I look. There's some, maybe I should move to Green Bay. They seem to be doing pretty well. But other than that, it just seems like, so I still, even if this does fail, I would like this to go through to council, because on a failed vote, it needs to pass, I think, by 2/3 as well. I myself don't feel, I think looking at the comps are important, and it looks like we are in line. I don't see any vast problems. So I'd appreciate just a motion just to have a vote.
Before I make the motion, would this have to go through finance yet too, or would this go directly just to council?
I don't know. This is odd. I don't know. Because it has to have I would, yeah.
To depend on the motion itself, if there's the 3%, then that affects the budget, and
Right.
that would be finance.
Right. Yeah, I would think it'd have to. It still needs to have a 2/3 vote at council, but
Why would that be?
it's something in the statute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, still waiting for,
I'll make a motion that we increase the salaries for alderpersons and the mayor and the city of Wausau 3%.
okay. Do I have a second? I'll second, just so we have a vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that fails 0-4. And that is it. We can adjourn. Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Motion by Killian, second by Martins, and we are adjourned. Thank you.